All right. What's going on, y'all? What's going on? Welcome to Shift the Culture. This is episode 4, presented to you by Leonard Abbott and Maafa Entertainment. And before we get started, I need everybody to subscribe to our Maafa TV on YouTube. Hit the subscribe button, hit the notification so you can get all the new, latest, and updates, alerts, the whole 9 yards. We're gonna kind of go ahead and get into it. First and foremost, before we get into it, real quick, please support our sponsor, One Change at a Time. We'll have the link in the description. It is a nonprofit organization that focuses on bridging the gap between youth and seniors by helping them both overcome the health disparities that affect our communities. Now, I want to get into this topic here. Earlier this week, President Biden had made the decision to approve missiles, U.S. missiles to be used on Russia. So he approved Ukraine to be able to use U.S. missiles on Russia. And everybody's like, okay, what is U.S. missiles? What do you mean by that? What does this mean for me as an American? What does this mean? Well, it simply means this. Since the start of the Russia-Ukraine war, Russia, one of the things they've been adamant about is the West not supporting or not having obviously evident support of Ukraine in regards to supporting them with military supplies, specifically missiles. Russia has been adamant about that since the start of the war. They said that if basically Vladimir Putin will feel that if the United States is supporting Ukraine with these military missiles and weapons, then that would basically give Russia the indication that America is posing war against them. Obviously, that would make sense, if you are, understanding and looking at it from just a human perspective, a natural perspective. If you have, if you're going at it with someone, and then they have a friend or whomever, hop in it and they're on their side, then okay, that person's an enemy of you now as well. So at any rate, so President Biden approves this, and what it does, y'all, it puts us in a very, very peculiar situation. And we're going to have some episodes breaking this thing down, because it is important for us as Americans to pay attention to what's happening. Our media, I don't think, does a good enough job of keeping the American population informed about what's happening internationally. Our news gets broadcast in topics that get discussed most of the time really doesn't have an effect on your everyday American. This does. And the reason why this does, and why Americans need to pay attention, is because this could spark a potential World War III, with us allowing Ukraine to use these missiles. And what's crazy about this is, okay, so these long-range missiles are basically acronym as ATACMS. And what does that mean? These are supersonic tactical ballistic missiles. These are Army tactical missile. It's basically Army tactical missile system. So ATACMS is Army tactical missile system, and basically is a missile about 13 feet long, and it's manufactured by one of the world's top military manufacturer of missiles and aerospace and aircraft, and that is Lockheed Martin, right here in the United States, right in Maryland. And this is big because not only is this a U.S. missile, but this is a missile that is a United States company, private company, which is Lockheed Martin, is making money off of. And again, we're going to have a series of videos touching on these topics because it's very important. Because Lockheed Martin, who makes the ATACMS, which is the Army Tactical Missile System, the MGM-140 is the actual type of missile, but it's the ATACMS, which is actually the actual whole system. But the point is that this Lockheed Martin actually does business internationally by supplying military weapons and missiles to other nations, and they are the largest contracted company or organization with the United States. So basically, I believe over 80% of their revenue, and this is a over $500 billion company. Let me actually see if I got the figures here. Excuse me, I apologize. I said $500 billion company. This is a company that about $67 billion is their actual revenue. But and that's as of 2023. So maybe up towards the 100 million now when you talk about these wars and things that are sparked up now, which could obviously increase the value of this company because they are a public traded company with a stock over about $530 or so per share. So that's Lockheed Martin for you. But anyway, with Biden approving this, y'all, it really is going to spark things, and an actual conflict with Russia obviously retaliating, but retaliating with more force. And Russia had already upped up their forces by bringing in over 10,000 North Korean troops. And so you have that going on, and now you have the United States saying, okay, we're going to back Ukraine. But what's interesting, and we're going to touch on this in another video. What's interesting, what we got to think about, okay, we just had a presidential election where Donald Trump just got elected again. Biden, currently in the president's seat, currently still has the power to authorize military initiatives, and allowing Ukraine to fire U.S.-made ATACMS missiles to Russia is one of the obviously decisions he can make. And making that decision, what does that do to President Trump? Donald Trump's, well, we can still call him President Trump. What does that? What type of effect would this have on his presidency? So the decision that President Biden just made by allowing Ukraine to fire U.S.-made missiles to Russia, causing Russia to retaliate, and now causing Russia to feel that the West is now, okay, you're going to allow them to use your weapons? Okay, so the West is now in this. So that's going to create a conflict with the United States and Russia. And now we just had an election, and this is where the politics come in play, and we're going to have another video discussing this. How does this look for the presidency of Donald Trump? We got to think about this, because this is going to affect what's going on with us here as Americans. This is going to affect us. So it's something to keep in mind. But so we have President Biden approving Ukraine to use U.S.-made missiles, and these U.S.-made missiles are made by the United States manufacturing company called Lockheed Martin, who is one of the world's top manufacturers of aerospace, aircraft, and military missiles. Okay, and they have contracts around the world. They are the biggest contractor with the United States government. This is a public is a public business, enterprise, IPO, so you can buy shares in it. But obviously, it's a corporation, and being conflicted now in the midst of the politics of everything, and that's big, because when you have an international business getting intertwined now into the politics of things, which has always been that way, but now it's even more is on a much more larger scale, y'all, because this is a different type of war that could potentially happen, because the last World War was in the 40s. I mean, we had the Cold War in the 50s, and obviously we know about the Vietnam, but the last World War was in the 40s. Um, and um, and so we are finding ourselves um, in a situation where we can have a World War, potential World War III, and so yes, World War II ended in 1945. So, folks, we're talking well over, if I do my math correct, we're looking at over 70 some years since the last World War. And so, with that being the case, y'all, we got to really now um, think about what's going to be happening here soon. Yeah, we're looking at almost 80 years or whatever. So anyway, we got to keep our eyes on this thing. We're going to have more episodes dropping, but I want to get your thoughts. Share your thoughts about this. What do you think is going to be happening? It could potentially happen down the line. And do you feel that this may affect the U.S. and the international world? You think this is going to affect how we operate, how it's going to affect the economy, how it's going to affect the new presidency of Donald Trump that's coming into the United States, how it's going to affect the families, and people in the communities that's going to be affected by this. So world wars affect a lot of different things, and again, we're going to have series talking about what how this potential conflict could escalate and the impact it can have on the world. So at any rate, leave your thoughts. Please subscribe. Thank you everyone for the support. This is Shift the Culture. I'm Leonard Abbott, and we look forward to hearing from you all, and we're going to keep you updated with all this information. All right, thank y'all.